We ready?
You can go live in 5 seconds now.
Okay.
We are good to go live. Yeah, start now.
Welcome everyone to the afternoon session of the National Webinar Education Journey: Perspectives, Opportunities and Challenges. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Gopakumar, who is presently working as a university librarian and head of the Department of Library and Information Science at Goa University. He is the chairman for the Board of Studies, Library and Information Science, a member of the Academic Council of Goa University. Dr. Gopakumar has 35 years of professional experience as a librarian. He has worked in various colleges in Kerala for 26 years. He has completed his PhD from Mangalore University after his BSc in Botany and MISc Library and Information Science. He has vast in various library-related software and digital content development software. He also has expertise in several software related to academic and digital content creation. He has developed digital content of various types and has been taking classes in digital content development area during refresher courses in UGC HRDCs of various universities. He has 27 research articles and 3 books to his credit. He has translated 2 Kannada novels of Dr. Shivarama Karan to Malayalam. He has organized several workshops, refresher courses, and 3 international conferences, namely Caliber 2011, Library Technology Conclave, and ICOR 2018. It is an honor to have an eminent personality like Dr. Gopakumar with us. We at St. Teresa's Institute of Education and entire FI team welcome you, sir, and look forward to hearing from you and learning from your expertise. Over to you now, sir.
Good evening. Thank you, St. Teresa Institute of Education and Enfly Learn for inviting me for this national webinar. And the topic that has been given to me is giving a proper citation and referencing in academic writing to avoid the blame of plagiarism, or you can call it as ethical aspects while you do academic writing. Academic writing basically means writing articles, writing research reports, writing project reports. All those things together we can call as academic writing. So when you do such research work pertaining along with the academic writing, you have to depend on lot of literature which is already available on the net. So we will have to depend on or even adapt, sometimes adopt the content from the earlier literature. So while doing so, we have to give proper credit to the original author. That is the basic problem. If we forget it, later on people will say you have copied it. And now because of the internet, as you know, lot of literature is available at your fingertips. Anybody at any time can copy, paste into, and nobody will come to know. But if it is subjected to certain checking, naturally you will be caught. In a classroom itself, you think of two people, they are doing PG dissertation. Both of them are doing seriously a dissertation work. And one has copied totally from somewhere. Later on, after some 5 or 6 years, both know each other that the copying has been done. So if in that case, after some days, both of them are appearing for an interview or something, and the person who copied got selected for the post. Naturally, it's in a PG class. Remember that. The other person can complain about the dissertation work and tell that he or she has copied from somewhere, and so she don't deserve this post. So it can go up to a litigation. The person is likely to lose his job, lose his or her job. So that type of a situation can arise later on. So even the class assignments I'm saying, they can be considered as academic writing, and there should be proper check for similarity in the writings. So how we can avoid such a blame later on? This is the totality of my talk. First, I will show the PPT, and then I will introduce you the simple steps by which you can go about inserting in-text citations and bibliography in a proper manner. Proper manner by which I wanted to say that you have to follow certain styles like APA, American Psychological Association, American, Modern Language Association, or Chicago Manual. These are the writing styles by which you have to format your academic writing. So you have to follow the formatting styles for your references. So how you can do it? If you do it manually, naturally, we will miss a comma or a colon. This is likely to happen. But if it is automated through a software, this will not happen. So our ordinary MS Word will help you in formatting your site. And this I will show as a practical thing. This is what the totality of my presentation. So initially, I will present my PPT and talk to you about how to provide citation and in-text references. So that's what I'm sharing my screen on my PPT. So ethical aspects in academic writing. When we think of academic integrity and ethics in academic writing, the first thing that comes to our mind is absolutely, there is no confusion on that, it is plagiarism. What is plagiarism? Plagiarism is the act of presenting the words, ideas, images, sounds, or the creative expression of others as your own, whatever it is. If it is somebody else, don't touch it. If at all you are using it, say that it is somebody's. You have to give due credit. What is plagiarism? Again, another definition. It is the act of stealing someone else's work and attempting to pass it off as your own. This can apply to anything from term papers to photographs, songs, or even ideas. How bad is plagiarism? Plagiarism is the theft of intellectual property. Plagiarism is cheating. Plagiarism may result in receiving a failing grade or even 0 for the assignment. Plagiarism could result in disciplinary actions. Those who are working in institutions like university, they may face disciplinary actions. Students caught plagiarizing may be denied admittance to further academic courses. That is very important. People have lost their positions and honor. Many cases we can find while detected as plagiarized, they may lose their honor and position. There are two types of plagiarism. We may do it intentionally. Sometimes we may do unintentionally also. So what are the intentional plagiarisms aspects? One is copying a friend's work, doing your friend's homework, buying or borrowing papers, cutting and pasting blocks of text from electronic sources without documenting them. Documenting means providing proper citation and reference. Media borrowing without documentation. Again, taking pictures, taking ideas, all those things from outside and then providing it as your own. Then that is now unintentional. First of all, it is careless paraphrasing. Paraphrasing means, I will explain it a little later, but it is careless. When you do it carelessly, it may end up in unintentional plagiarism. Poor documentation. Yes, you might have provided the citation and references, but it may not have the proper details. There it becomes poor documentation. Quoting excessively. One student came to me and told, sir, I have provided citation references everywhere, but you are still saying it is having a lot of similarity. How can it use? He says 85% of my content is I have taken from outside and 15% is mine. I told, no, you cannot have it. It should be the other way. 15% you can bring from outside, 85% you write on your own. Then only it becomes a genuine research report. Then failure to use your own ideas. Yes, absolutely. If you don't have ideas, don't write it. Write anything. Avoid it. So these are the two types of plagiarism that can occur in academic writing. When we adopt the content from outside, from others, naturally we have three options. You can quote it, you can paraphrase it, and you can summarize it. Quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing. Methods of adoption of ideas from others. First is quoting. Quotations are the exact words of an author copied directly from a source, word for word, and then quotations must be cited. While quoting, people copy as such, and it is called as verbatim copying. As such, if you copy even everything in that sentence is copied as such, it's called a verbatim copying. When will we quote? You want to add the power of an author's words to support your argument. Your argument needs somebody's argument support. Then you will quote. You want to disagree with an author's argument. There also you will quote. You want to highlight particularly eloquent or powerful phrases or passages. Then also you have to, some people used to quote from Sanskrit verses and all. You say it is from Bhagavad Gita or from that other source. Then you are comparing and contrasting specific points of view. Then you want to note the important research that precedes your own. Naturally, that is an important thing. It's called a knowledge gap. To reach the knowledge gap, you have to assess the earlier literature and come to the point that, yes, there exists a knowledge gap, which I am taking up as a project, and I wanted to fill that knowledge gap. There, naturally, you will have to quote as well as cite everything, whatever is available on that topic of research. See, there is in black, I have told that do not copy more than 3 words consecutive words from a source, because in Western countries, you will have to explain why you have copied 3 words together. That is the situation. We are a little careless about it, but you need to. If at all, if you are in a foreign country, this is the situation. Naturally, we are also moving towards that scenario. Now, verbatim copying as such from the source. In such a situation, you have to put the copied content in double inverted commas and provide a in-text citation. If you are copying as such, it's called verbatim copy. Put at the beginning and at the end in inverted commas. And if the number of words in the copied content goes beyond 39 words, up to 39 words, it should be converted as a block quote with in-text citation. Means block quote means usually it is away from the left margin. So maybe 0.5 inches from the left margin, you can keep it as a separate block quote. With the in-text citation, you cannot avoid citation there. Now comes paraphrasing, writing in your own language. Usually we can read things and then assimilate it and write it in our own language. That's called paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is restating the text with giving meaning in another form. Your paraphrases, you paraphrase when you use text written in by another person. Rewrite the text in your own words. Paraphrasing shows that you have read and understood the original text rather than repeating it word by word. In such a situation, you have to put copied content with the in-text citation. There, no need for inverted commas. Remember, if you are paraphrasing it, there is no need. Whereas in verbatim copying, you need to provide in-text citation. Sorry, inverted commas. Summarizing. Summarizing means you write in minimum words. What is worth remembering out of what you have read? When you summarize, you reduce the amount of text. When you reduce the text, you take away some words. Only use the most important ideas from the text, focus on the key points. It's okay to ignore information that is not important. In such situation, you have to put the copied content in with in-text citation, and no need for inverted commas. There is no need for inverted commas. So in the verbatim copying, you have to provide in-text this inverted commas and citation. In paraphrasing, you don't need to put inverted commas, but citation is required. In summarizing, you have to put only in-text citation. There is no need for inverted commas. So these are simple principles which you have to follow. Now, there is usually a question, do I have to cite everything? The answer is no. If something you write is common knowledge, you need to provide you need not provide citation. Common knowledge. If you are doing in-text citations, you don't have to cite facts that are widely known or information or judgments considered as common knowledge. For example, Mahatma Gandhi is considered as our father of the nation. It's the common knowledge. Everybody knows it. Nobody will ask you in which book it is written like that. The Japanese attacked at Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1940. Again, it's a historical aspect, so nobody will ask you the source of the document. No, examples of common knowledge. If you see a fact in 3 or more sources and you are fairly certain your readers already know this information, you can be sure that it is likely to be common knowledge. But if you have doubts about it, it is fairly good that you cite, give proper citation. Why to jump into or fall into some traps? So better to cite it if you are in doubt. Do I have to cite everything again? No need to cite when you are discussing your own experiences. For example, you are writing on your own, your biography or all those things. Observations. You have seen something. You are writing something on your own. Your reactions for certain questions. Compiling the results of your original research from science experiments, etc. You are doing a chemistry experiments and your results you are writing in your own language. There is no need for citation. You are using common knowledge. In that case also, you don't need to provide in-text citation, etc. This is another important aspect in ethical, when we look at the ethical aspects in academic writing, padding of bibliography. For example, if you are writing an article, you have read some 15 articles to write that research report. But to show that you are an voracious reader, you have read so many things, even though you have read only 15, your bibliography will have around 30 to 40 items included there. This is called padding of bibliography. Adding unnecessary things to blow up what you have done. In fact, this is an unethical practice, making a bibliography by making sources or including sources you didn't use in your research. Why it is unethical? Because later on, somebody else will use your research report for their research. That time, actually, you are misguiding those people by showing all these unnecessary, unwanted sources. So that's called padding of. It's again an unethical practice. Now, as I said earlier, internet has opened up the way we can access to the literature all over the world. Anything that is published in any corner of the world can be accessed by anybody on the other part of the globe within seconds. You need only mouse clicks, you can access it. The information overload is there, in fact. So internet has helped us in that way. So you may feel that, okay, I can copy or I can take something from somewhere and I can make up a write-up. No, there are many softwares to check similarity in academic writing. Such software detect the extent of similarity in your research reports, and naturally your authorities will be using such softwares to identify. And some of such softwares are Authenticate, Turnitin, Urkund, etc. Now universities are using Urkund software basically because InflipNet is giving it free of cost, we are all using it. Authenticate and Turnitin are also international standards. Even Urkund also is doing a good job. More than anything, it acts as a deterrent. Deterrent in the sense, if a CCTV is there, we will not try to steal or remove a page from a book in the library. So we maintain some CCTVs. Just like that, it acts as a deterrent so that people won't try to copy or paste material from others and show that it is their own. So this is what plagiarism checker software. There are no free softwares are available, but they are of no use. You have to depend on something like this only, international standards. They will give you similarity reports. And another question usually asked is, how much percentage of similarity is allowed? Similarity, or in the sense plagiarism is somebody will ask, plagiarism, is it 5% plagiarism is allowed? I usually say nowhere plagiarism is allowed. Similarity, okay, it is allowed. That, for example, in our university, from introduction to conclusion for a research report, we allow only 3% of similarity, just 3%. If it is 4%, we'll send back asking the student to come out with a report which is suiting the university standards. That is why for the last 3 years, our average similarity index is 1.72. You won't believe. You can check it. All the PhD theses are available in Shodhaganga. It just goes by that standard. 3% only is allowed. Last 3 years I'm talking about. We don't have a measure for the earlier things, but this is what we are doing for that in our university. That is what it is. So thanks for this presentation. Now what I will do is I will go to another practical session where how you can format your references properly according to your style and then use it in a write-up. So here I will stop sharing this and I will go for sharing another paper of mine. Here I have, I'm showing a, and you can see that this is our ordinary MS Word where you can see the title of the page and some text I have written, and in between I have marked something. This is red in color and it says it is copied content below 39 words. Copied content means as such copied, it's verbatim copying. And when here another, it is copied content above 39 words. Again, it is verbatim only. We have heard what we have to do if that is the case. Copied content above 39 words. Paraphrased content. And here it is verbatim. So in these cases, what we will do, that's what we are going to do using MS Word. So in MS Word, for reference management, there is an option. Most of you might have seen it, but it's very simple. And I will just demonstrate it, how we are going to do it. So hope everyone is seeing this screen. So here, along with the other buttons, after layout, you can see references. When you click on it, you will see something new. You can see here, insert citation, manage sources, style and bibliography, a new set of commands, citations and bibliography. This is where we will work on and then do the citations and all. So initially we have to tell the computer that these are the sources from where I have taken the content. So how will you do it? For that, first thing is you have to click on the manage sources button. I will just delete these things. Okay. So once it comes up like this, it's called a source manager. Here there is a button new. You have to just click on the new button. So it is asking what type of source you are going to enter. By default, it is showing book. You can go for many other things like journal article, book section, all those things. So initially it is a journal article. So what you have to do is just select that. Accordingly, the fields here will change. Now, the first thing what you have to do is you have to enter the name of the author. So if you enter the name of the author on your own, for some formatting problems will occur. So it is better what you have to do is click on the edit button. Here you can give some messages are coming. I don't know what it is. So here I have to give the last name of the person as well as the first name and middle name so that it will format it properly. So here the last name of the person is Gasawe, Gasawy, Gasawe, and the first name is Neil, Neil, Neil. So, and then once you have done, you can click on the add button and click OK. So you can see that it has been brought here as Gasawe, Neil. If you have more people, you can add like that. Then below that, you have to type the title of the article, distance learning and copyright. This is the title of the article. I will just type it out. Distance learning and copyright. Then journal name, it is Journal of Library Services for Distance Education. Journal of Library Services for Distance Education. There could be some errors also. Yeah, nothing. Then it was published in the year 1998. And these occurred in the pages from, yeah, pages is missing, but I will just put some pages, 145 to 148, like that. So as a journal article, it is missing something here. What is that? It is the volume number and issue number. You cannot see it here, but to see it, here you have to click show all bibliographic fields. So once you do that, you will get the other details like volume number and issue. So it is volume number 1 and it appeared in the issue number 2 and click OK. So you can see that the entire details has been brought here, and here you can see it is properly formatted according to APA style. This is what it is. Now, there is somebody waiting. Should we admit? Okay. Now the second item, new. Again it is a journal article only. So the author's name is here Lebowitz Gardiner. So I will have to go here and I have to type it as the last name is Lebowitz, Lebowitz, and Gardiner is the first name. And yeah, only one author is there. I have to click add and click OK. So it comes here. Now the title of the article is Library Services to Distance Students. An inquiry, an equity issue. An equity issue, EQUIT issue. And it appeared in the Journal of Academic Librarianship. Don't make typing mistakes because it won't correct the typing mistake at all. And it appeared in the year 1997. And the page numbers are 303 to 308. And being an online journal, it has not given the page numbers. Doesn't matter. We just click OK and it has come there. So 2 items we have brought in. Now the third item is written by, again, it's a book. So what we have to do, click on the new button, select the book option. So naturally things will change here. Click OK. Sorry, type in the name of the author. Author is Dow Lee. So go there and his name is, last name is Lee. First name is D-O-U-D-H. Click add, click OK. Title of the book is Building an Electronic Resource Collection. BUIEL.
Sir, if you can zoom this a little bit, because quite a few participants are not being able to see this.
Okay, let me try. After doing this, I will do it. It won't be unless this dialog box moves. It won't. I will do it after this. Electronics collection.
Okay, sir.
A practical guide. guide. Then it was published in the year 2002, and it was published by Library Association from London. London Library Association. Okay, what I will do is I will click OK, and then I will close this. Again, we will go back after zooming it. Hope this will work. But even then, this is here. There is a problem. It's small only. Anyway, so the fourth item is again a journal article written by 3 people. Let us do that. 3 people. So first author is Alexander Neimi. So his name is Neimi, and first name is Alexander. Click add. Now you can wait for the second person, Thompson Ehrard. Sorry, Johnson, Ehrard, and Thompson. Add. So it will come here. The third person is Lawrence Neely, Neely, Lawrence, Lawrence, and click add. So like that, the 3 authors we have added. See how it comes up here. All the 3 authors are added here. Now the title of the article is Off-Campus Library Support for Distance and Adult Learners. Off-Campus Services, Library Support Services. For distance and adult learners, and it was published in Library Trends, and the volume number was it was published in the year 1998. In the pages, it's not giving because maybe I will put up some pages 126 to 129. And for volume number and issue number, you have to click here. You will get the volume number and issue number. Volume number is 47 and issue number is 1. And the rate, again, that detail. So we have added 4 items. Hope this is enough. With this, we will close this. And the computer knows now the sources, whatever we have used for writing this. And here it says copied content. Below 39 words. Below 39 words means you need not make a block quote. Just need to provide index citation and the inverted commas. So initially we have to put inverted commas here and at the end. And now you have to provide the citation. How to provide the citation? The article has been taken from Gardner-Leibowitz article. So what I am going to do is click on insert citation. So when I clicked there, you can see the list of items, whatever I have entered is coming here. So after that, I know this is the article by Leibowitz Gardner. Just click on it. You can see that the in-text citation has been inserted. And since it is below 39 words and it is copied verbatim, we have provided both inverted commas and this. This is how you have to do it. Now again, this is above 39 words, but it is verbatim copying. So what you will do? First thing is you have to move it away from the margin, at least 5.5 inches. You have to change it. What you can do is just increase like this. Let us see how it works. Yes, this is enough. You can put here the inverted commas because it is verbatim copying. And again, you have to identify from which document you have copied it. You say it is from the 3 people, the journal article written by 3 people. This is the one. See, it has come. And which is the style here? You can see it is APA style. Now, all of a sudden, your guide says, no, I don't want APA, you follow MLA. So what you have to do?
Excuse me, sir. Sir, could you please zoom your slide more? Participants can see it.
Should I do something?
Zoom your slide a little more. Participants can't see it.
This is not a slide, ma'am. As such,
Sorry, the Word document. Could you please
yeah,
zoom
yeah.
it a little more?
Little more, my God. This is what I can do.
Yes, yes, better,
Okay.
better.
So
Thank you.
here, it's the three authors' name along with the year of publication has been inserted. And since it is more than 39 words, it goes away from the margin. You can see that it goes away from the margin. This is the margin from where it is moved little ahead, so that you can call it as a block quote. This is called a block quote when it is exceeding 39 words. If it is below that, you can put it along with the text always. But it is, if it is verbatim copying also, as such, if you copy. So that is done. Now here, copied content above 39 words. Again, actually it is to be put it as a paragraph away from the margin. So we have to go like this. Go to home, and in paraphrasing, you have to increase the, yeah, like this. And here you have to go for the citation. And since it is verbatim copied, you have to see that in both cases we have put inverted commas. Now at the end, what you have to do is you have to go and find out who is the author. So I will go for references, insert citation. I will say it is from Ghazavi Neil. So it is there. So simply you can just put it. And here it is a paraphrased content. Paraphrased content means it's already written in your own language, which means there is no need for inverted commas. So what you have to do is just at the end of the quote, the content that you have taken, you have to provide the citation detail, in text citation. Again, go for it, lead out. That also has been done. So this is how you have to do it. In the case of verbatim copying, if it is below 39, just go along with the text and put inverted commas and citation. If it is above 39, move away from the margin, provide inverted commas and index citation. And if it is a paraphrased content or summarized content, in both cases, you don't need to put inverted commas, but you need to provide citation. That is required. Now, after this doesn't mean that everything is visible. All details are available. Just by providing Lee alone will not give you all the details for a prospective reader for your article. So what you have to do is at the end you have to provide the bibliography. So how to provide the bibliography? Very simple. Go to this bibliography button. Just ask the software to insert the citation. All of a sudden, the citation has been, the entire bibliography has been provided to you. It's very easy. Now, if you are changing something and later on, you can just need to remove it and then update it. There is an option here to update the citation. If you make some changes in the details of the bibliographic details of the article that you have already entered, naturally it will get reflected when you update it. This is how you have to do it. I think this is what the entire session means. I have done with, and all these are available as the presentation, as well as the entire thing is available as a video also in my video channel. It is available. I will share that video with the organizers so that you can again see. Now, as for me, this is over. Would you like to have me do something else more? Organizers, Nigot?
Yes, sir.
See, my presentation as well as this demonstration is over. You want me to repeat means I can do it again, or else can I go to something else? Would you like me to do something?
Yes, sir. First of all, thank you so much for such a wonderful session. And from participants, there are quite a number of questions regarding this topic. So, you know, sir, we will be happy if you answer those questions.
Sure. I am ready. I am ready.
Yes. The first question is, from Department of Library and Information Science, University of North Bengal. How I avoid blame of plagiarism by Turnitin and Moss Shaker tool.
That question itself is wrong, I should say. Why? Because the plagiarism checker identifies only similarity. You cannot avoid plagiarism by using a plagiarism checker. You understood? So the softwares identify similarity in your write-up. Later on, based on that reports, you have to change the content. That's all. So because see, we might not do it purposely. Sometimes we do it unintentionally also. The content, because people may think alike. So you may write equivalent to somebody else writing. That time unintentional plagiarism can occur, which this software will detect and let you know that there is some similarity, which you can later on change. So that's why I said that question is wrong.
Thank you, sir. The next question is, if I am citing a particular model, then I have to take as it is. How should I cite it?
If you are taking somebody's model, naturally you have to cite it. And if at all you are changing also, you have to cite it. Without that, you cannot proceed.
Okay, sir. The next question is by Dr. Rekha Gore. And her question is, how do we check our text in plagiarism?
What is that? Upload your text into the this one Urkund or Authenticate. Then you will get a report in your email. See it, download it. For that, again, another session like this is required to show that.
Yes, sir. Now, the next question you have already answered. It's by Dr. Pooja Srivastava. After paraphrasing, do we need to provide citation?
Of course.
Yes. The next question is by Dr. Nidhi Verma, University of Pune. And her question is, how to overcome plagiarism if we are writing a conceptual paper? What should be our percentage for content in conceptual paper? In conceptual, outside knowledge, size may increase as compared to research papers.
Yes, that is what unintentional plagiarism I meant earlier. Concepts, people can have similar concepts and they may write in similarity. So naturally, there could be some sort of blame later on coming up. So better to check it with plagiarism tools and avoid the similarity. That's all.
Okay, sir. Thank you. The next question is by Lakshmi Prabha. Is there open source tool for citation management?
Citation management, it is there. Many are there. Jotiro, Mendeley, yeah, they are not open source, but they are free. Jotiro, Mendeley, EndNote. These are all the major citation managers.
Thank you, sir. The next question is from Neha Gharat, and her question is it considered as self-plagiarism if some paraphrases some part from his or her own work, previously published work, while introducing it in the starting of next new work in the research paper?
It will be considered as plagiarism if you don't cite it. For example, if you are starting a research work in 2014 and you are ending it in 2020, whatever you write along with your research is your own content and you can include in your all research reports. Whereas if you have done something earlier to that, for which you already got your citations, acclaim, everything, you cannot include without citation. If you include it, you need to provide citation. That's all.
Thank you, sir. The next question is by Samadhan Nikumb. And the question is, which softwares are available to check cognitive abilities, that is content and ideas? Because plagiarism software checks the duplication of similarities from the text.
I hope soon artificial intelligence will come into picture and it will detect all these things. There is no solution as for now.
Okay, sir. The next question is by Datta Vagmare, and his question is, how to check plagiarism with article PhD thesis in the regional languages?
It's a trade secret. I shouldn't open it up. But as far as now, the Hindi language written, the articles written in Unicode are getting detected for similarity. If something is there in blog or internet, naturally the software detects if it is written in Unicode. Otherwise, the softwares are unable. That's why I said it is a trade secret with librarians who detect plagiarism in research reports in the universities. We don't tell people that it is not possible. At present, it is not possible, especially Marathi, Konkani, and all. No, we are not able to detect anything. But if it is written in Unicode and uploaded, means there are chances that it can. Here it happened. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. The next question is by Dhirendra Tripathi, and his question is: how many authors in standard research papers, and what percentage of plagiarism?
I couldn't get the question at all.
So, question has come like that: how many authors in standard research papers?
There is no limit. There are articles with 90 authors. 90 authors. If you go to Elsevier database and check, you can find 90 or more authors from various parts of the world. Together they are writing articles. So there is no limitation for that. Then what is the percentage of similarity, or what is that?
The question is, sir,
allowed percentage.
What percentage of plagiarism? Only that much is written, sir.
0% of plagiarism. Plagiarism is not allowed. Similarity is allowed.
Yes, sir. The next question is how many papers or journals minimum number need to be referred?
That depends on the objectives of the article, the research article, the objectives. And whatever they are writing, for that they have to support with the literature. I cannot say.
Okay. So next question is by Neha Gharat again. And her second question is, suppose a student has checked the plagiarism of written work on any available checker from internet, then is there a possibility that it is used as a database while checking the same work later by university using softwares such as Turnitin, and then will show it as 100% copied? How safe is our material on such free available plagiarism softwares on internet?
Okay, very good question, because many of people are afraid of these things. First of all, I have uploaded, then it will remain there and it will show. Nothing like that. Don't worry about it. We are people who test this, know very well what is happening there. And if at all it is available in Urkund or any other database, previously checked the item, we can simply exclude it. And what we do is we open each source and identify whether it is the same person, it is written within the time limit, everything we will check. Then only we will allow the similarity report. So don't worry about it. Nothing to worry.
Thank you, sir. The next question is, different plagiarism tools show different percentages. Why is it so?
Because they use different logic. That simple it is.
Okay, sir. The next question is by Jyoti Pawar. How to cite the URL of web page and websites?
It is there. If you look at this the references, there is for web page and document on the internet, there are two options. Just like book, journal article I have shown, same way there is something for. So there is an option for URL, DOI, everything is there. All fields are covered there. So nothing to worry.
Okay, sir. The next question is by Sumit Datta from Department of Library and Information Science, University of North Bengal. And the question is, what is bluffing?
Bluffing? I really don't know. I'm unaware of it.
Okay.
Maybe telling lies.
The next.
Excuse me, sir. May I please request you to stop screen sharing, sir, please? Stop screen sharing.
Oh, me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Stop
okay.
screen sharing.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Still questions are
Yes,
there?
yes, sir. One more question by Tanuja Kohli. And the question is, do we have to write page number when we do citation?
That depends on the style that you follow. Certain styles will say author name, second part of the author name along with the year of publication, sometimes page number. That depends on the style that you follow, APA style. They will say, accordingly you do it.
The next question is by Cletus, and the question is, if it is unpublished paper, then do we have to give citation?
Unpublished paper, that means what citation you will give? Citation means you have to show that it is available somewhere. When it is unpublished, how can you show that? So there is no chance.
Yes, sir. The next question is by Ms. Pratiksha Shirodkar from Nirmala Institute of Education, Panji, Goa. And her question is it ethical to cite your own paper in your new paper? How ethical it is to publish articles on online platforms after publishing in a journal?
There is nothing wrong in citing again and again, but you have to provide all the details. If you hide it, then only it is amounting to plagiarism. Otherwise, no. You have to provide proper, I am underlining the word proper citation details.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I think you have answered all questions and all queries are solved. Now, I officially take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks to you, sir. Today's session took me to Sir Isaac Newton's famous words in a 1675 letter to Robert Hooke. And the word says, if I have seen further, it is by standing upon the shoulders of giants. This statement proves the importance of giving credit where credit is due. The same has been well illustrated by Dr. Gopakumar sir. Proper referencing and citation makes one better writer and an authentic researcher by avoiding blame of plagiarism. Through virtual hands-on and various examples and lucid explanation, Sir has oriented all of us on the need, importance, and how to work on proper referencing and citations. I'm sure it has benefited to all the participants, right from the research scholars, teachers, and students. Sir, we are truly obliged to you for your great efforts you have put in to make the concept very clear in a short span of time. On behalf of our principal, Dr. Sister Tanuja Wagmare, staff and students of STI and EdFly team, I deeply thank you, sir, for this wonderful session. Now,